one point that I'd like to make to talk about just other things that are coming up. You know, Lord of the Rings, 3 books. You know, yes, we've got the Silmarillion, we've got the Unfinished Tales and things, but that fandom is still very strong, and there are still things that are being done creatively and artistically that have kept that franchise quite strong. And I think we're going to see the same thing here. You're going to still have web communities. You're still going to have people wanting to make comic books. You're still going to have people wanting to make films or other projects or making music based off of this. So I think that we have a very, very large wealth coming to us still from this series because it's such a vibrant world. Clearly all of us were moved enough by it to pay $60 to come here. So it's going to be around. I'm not worried that I'm going to get no new members. You know, it's going to stick. Yes.
Go right here first and go over there and come up.
Just wondering, you mentioned a little bit ago about what a mistake it was to have a screenwriter just kind of go off for X number of months and then come back. Can you, if there's no contractual things with that, give us an idea of what sort of changes they were making to the story?
I think I hinted at some. Point of view changes. And again, we're at the point right now where we're working with the studio right now. The senior executive at the studio, and then the former screenwriter we had on the project that is now working in a creative capacity, and myself working with Jason's help. We're basically trying to put together an outline, and so
what you're saying is a WAFO.
Yeah, well, but I can provide probably a little bit more answer to that. And it's one of the things that, like, I think I alluded to the fact that points of view that might be different, character emphases.
That what I mean more of is script ideas that might have been abandoned somewhere else along the project.
Can I tackle that?
Sure.
So, I won't get into specifics, but because there is contract kind of things involved, NDAs and whatnot. But here's a great example. Larry mentioned earlier, an interest in getting more Aes Sedai culture in the movie. So imagine you've got Eye of the World. Eye of the World has Moraine. You see one Blue Ajah, and you see Elida at one point, and that's pretty much it, right? There's not a whole lot of Aes Sedai culture. There's no dynamic between the Ajahs or whatever. So I'll say the order is not that blunt. These guys are on the same team as us, but the request comes from the studio of like, hey, we know that there's a huge demographic out there that would really like this whole Aes Sedai culture. We want this movie we want to put our best stuff forward. So what can we do to get more Aes Sedai culture? Well, we have one extreme where some people say like, oh, send Rand and all them to Tar Valon and all this stuff, and you're like, oh my God, what are they doing to my book, And then where we have been big advocates of, and where it's been very successful. And again, the success. This is the sort of thing that that Red Eagle has proven that they are on the right side, in my opinion. Is that say, well, instead of having the hunt for the Black Ajah in the first movie, and instead of Rand being taken in collared chains to Tar Valon, or whatever, he's never been there in the whole series, and there's probably a reason for that. That's one of the questions I have for Brandon. And so let's not force that. So let's find a creative way to bring in some Aes Sedai that is still true to the book. Can't tell you what it is.
But it's good.
But it's good.
It's
a great idea. And so so what we're doing, you're still going to see the same journey. That's in the Eye of the World. You're still going to see more. You're going to see more. You're still going to see a lot of all the kind of things that you would expect to see. But there are ways that you can cleverly, with the right people and with the right creative minds and the right brainstorming sessions. These things don't come out of a vacuum, as Larry was saying. It isn't that some clever person went off and sat down and wrote it out and came up with it. We're not all Robert Jordan. So we literally have these calls and these meetings where we sit around and we talk about this stuff. We're like, how can we do this that is true to the book? And we always come back to the book. How is it true to the story, true to the characters? And if necessary, if we are going to invent stuff, can we borrow from later books, or at least the concept behind later books, and bring that in? That's what they did in Lord of the Rings. A lot of the lines of dialogue in the first movie came from the third books and stuff. And so, rule 1 is stick to what is there. Rule 2 is try to borrow from what is in the expanded books or whatever, and only if we really, really, really need to, and if it supports the core story, do we invent something. And even then, that's always the last resort. So.
before we end, can I add something to what you were doing?
Sure.
The question before was whether they're going to be the outriggers. Okay. To address it slightly from a family standpoint. The only reason we're here is because Harriet wanted to go forward. And why did Harriet want to go forward? Jim, and you may have heard him on numerous occasions, I did, he made me swear on a stack of Bibles that if somebody tried to finish this work and he wasn't there to do it, I had to kill him. Okay? You know, and he would come back and haunt me if I didn't. I mean, we did this over fishing. No one's going to finish this work but me. 2 weeks before he died, sitting in the parlor, he scared the hell out of me because I knew where he was and I knew how tough the fight was, but he said, who do you think can finish this? This is not a question I needed coming out of Jim, okay? Because I knew he was throwing up his last defense at that point. So we had never discussed who was going to do it until then. So now that he's gone, Harriet could let it go. She didn't need to do this. Absolutely did not need to do this. She had just lost the love of her life, guys, okay? But we felt an obligation to him to finish it because he said, who do you think can finish it? He did not want to leave it unfinished. He felt an obligation to you guys because he wrote the stuff, you read it. The more you read it, the more he wrote, okay? And he loved doing that for you. But there was no reason, no financial reason, there was no moral obligation to finish it at that point except that Jim had asked us to do it. Quite literally, I could have given you one more blog entry and told you the last scene. That could have been the end of it. Yes, I do know the last scene. Okay. But, all right, she wanted to finish it. Now, all right, Lord love you all because it became therapy, shall we say. I've never seen her happier. Okay? And I thank you all for that. But where it'll go after 3 books, if she's still happy and she's still doing it, all I'll say is if she's happy, she may continue on this. And again, I've never seen her happier. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great to hear.
I think that's
I'd just like to add one more thing. Please, if you have any other questions, you can ask now. Tag me in the hallways or tomorrow. I'm here really to talk to many of you that can. I'm a serial lurker. Actually, I'm a member of Theoryland. My ID there is Alan Mondragon. On Dragon, on Barbalon, and on Dragon Mount. I'm there all the time, but I really look to find ideas, thoughts, suggestions, and even criticisms. So, please post your ideas, and I'll listen.